In this episode, we're going to explore a variety of topics such as property assessments, real estate, also New Year's resolutions, commitments, and goals. Also, the popular trend of dry January. Finally, we'll be sharing our predictions for the Prince George real estate market in the coming year. So be sure to watch right to the end. From real estate to recreation, potholes to politics, air quality to our downtown, everything that makes Prince George our home. Welcome to the Prince George Life Podcast. Welcome to the podcast. It's a new year, and this is our first podcast of 2023. How is everybody?
I'm good.
Good. Excited for this year?
Awesome. So, in the real estate world that we're in, the property assessments just came out.
Brutal.
Brutal? Why do you say that they're brutal, Sheree?
Well, I think that people were probably expecting them to come down or at least be equal to what they were last year. And then with the 12% hike, it's going to hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some people look at it a little bit like, you know, it's a good thing. The price of my home has gone up.
You have to remember, they've never been in your house. They've never seen if it's renovated, if it's completely trashed by renters. It does not set the price of your home. It's just taxes.
It has nothing to do with the value of your home on the open market of real estate. That's a big thing for people to remember. It is a tax mechanism.
Too many people look at it and think about the value of their house. Yes. No, it strictly, you're right, has to do with taxes. And we already pay a lot of taxes.
Well, the house that we live in, it's probably undervalued by $200,000 to $300,000.
Hey, keep that to yourself.
But our rental properties are overvalued. So it's a really weird conundrum, like how all the properties have worked out like that.
Yeah, and I think often that is because the assessment knows that there's suites in them and they're income producing properties, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So whereas on your primary residence that you're living in, they've never been in there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what we're going to find this year, we're going to be looking with, sellers a lot at what their assessment is, and people are going to want that. And what people really also need to remember is that assessments are lagging behind. Not only do they have nothing to do with the real estate market, but they're lagging behind. I think in the upcoming year that there's going to be a lot of homes selling below what they're assessed for.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you.
I think that we even saw that in the second half of 2022, that people were looking at their assessments expecting that should be around the price point that their home should be selling for, but they weren't actually a clear representation of what their house value was. And some people get stuck on that number thinking that is the number that we need to get out of this house, but you can't always get that. The market
No.
the market will dictate what you can get.
Well, it's like I said before, the assessment people haven't been in your house. So how do you expect them just from driving by or knowing what a neighbor's house sold for, that is what your house is worth?
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, just a taxation mechanism, the best thing to do to get an idea of what your home is worth is give us a call. We'll come to your house. We'll look up at what similar homes as yours have sold in your area, and we'll give you an idea of what it may sell for on the open market. And that's truly the best indicator of what your home is worth, is how much somebody will buy it for.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Exactly.
plain and simple. So we are now in January of this year, and we just came off. How was everybody's holidays? Of course, I know how Bailey's was because we're married.
But was it the same as yours? No. Relaxing was our key word, I think, from the holidays.
Yep, no family in town, and we just relaxed. one of the things in holidays, and especially as we come into New Year, is that you get this thing about, okay, New Year's is coming up. What am I going to do next year? How does everybody feel about New Year's resolutions?
I haven't done a New Year's resolution since I was a kid. I remember we would all sit around and we would tell each other what our New Year's resolution was. But I don't believe that people stick with them, so I do not do them.
I don't think I've ever.
No.
Really
Oh, I
stuck
used
with
to do
one.
them.
I don't think. Well, you have these wonderful thoughts. Oh, new year, new me. But literally, I think that it's 3 weeks that most people, the majority of people, stick to their New Year's resolution.
Yeah.
Wow.
And Jess, how do you feel about resolutions?
I think that people put too much pressure on resolutions. I personally don't believe in them because I think there is too much pressure around it. I think that if you're going to commit to doing something new, you should do small things versus saying, you're going to commit to going to the gym every single day. Well, that's not realistic. So
I completely agree with you. I also think, what about the other 364 days a year? Could
Yeah.
you not be doing something to make yourself a better person
Yeah.
all those days, besides relying on one day to get fit, to eat better, to maybe make more money? Like, you're setting yourself up with all these things, and the rest of the year you're like, I'm good, just living over here. I don't have any goals or anything set for the rest of the year.
It's kind of like people who want to quit smoking or quit eating junk food, whatever it is. If they eat the rest of their stuff or they smoke the rest of that package, they're less likely to actually quit that habit. They need to just decide, I'm done with this, and throw it away. That's kind of, on the same track. If you wait until January 1st, this is when it's going to start, you're less likely probably to follow through.
Well, they always say you have to have a why, and your why has to be strong enough that you will follow through. So if my why being, well, it's a new year and it's January 1st, I have to do these things, I'm definitely going to fail.
Yeah,
Right?
because it's certainly not big enough to stop you.
That
Now,
is the weakest
now,
why.
Let's say you're a smoker, which I've never been, but if it is just a new year that I'm going to stop smoking, that's not going to happen. If it's I want to live a long life for my children and my grandchildren, that's a much
Did you
bigger
say that for my parents? For their grandchildren?
You can say that to them again. Hopefully they're watching.
Joy, I'm talking to you. Quit smoking. I know she listens to this podcast, so that's a shout out to Cherie's mom and dad.
So we didn't do a resolution at our house, but we did a commitment, and we actually started that commitment earlier in the December months. And we made the commitment between Colin and I that we are going to cook dinner every night. And this might sound to some people like, well, duh, you're going to cook dinner every night. But being realtors, me also being a designer, just being super busy, we both get home some nights and it's late and we're tired and the groceries aren't there. And now that Skip the Dish or DoorDash is so available, it's so much easier to do that than cooking. And then you have no leftovers for the next day for lunch. So then you end up doing the exact same thing. So we got some cookbooks that are super easy. They're whole foods. Nothing is processed. And I like to do 3 meals at a time is what I grocery shop for. Because I find if I grocery shop for more than that, things could go bad. Or I'm like, oh, I don't want that recipe that I picked 5 days ago or 6 days ago. And we're doing really well. And then we're taking the leftovers for lunch the next day. So there's no food waste because everybody knows the cost of food right now.
Insane.
And feeling better.
Yep. I really, really believe that you have to make commitments. You don't make goals. You have to make the commitment to do X, Y, and Z. That's the commitment. The goals will take care of themselves. So, you have to be more disciplined. You have to be more consistent. And you have to demonstrate that commitment.
So that being said, do you guys have any commitments?
Well, I'm sure you guys might know, I am terrible at drinking water.
Yes, she's horrible.
And where I will probably never carry around the water bottle that Jess does. It's insane. I am really focusing more on drinking the water. I just find like I need a little bit more mental clarity, and that will probably help. And trying, I am going to the gym more often than I was. So those are my two. More of like a mental help than, and I guess it's physical too. Mental and physical.
affects everything.
Everything.
The two are
Everything.
connected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and Jess is a real gym junkie, so I'm sure she can attest to that as well. So
So, Jess, what are your commitments?
Well, I am committing this year to learning a new language.
I like
I
that.
actually already started practicing.
have you committed to a
I
language?
chose Spanish,
Oh,
but
okay.
I also have French set up on there. So I'm going to
What are you using?
Duolingo.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is that a web-based?
It is an
Duolingo?
app. Oh, it
Okay.
might be web-based too, but I use the app.
App on your phone?
Yeah. And it just, it notifies me every day that I got to do my, you can do 5, 10, 15, whatever, minutes a day. So I'm doing that every night.
So all you Spanish-speaking people that are listening to this podcast, phone Jessica. Don't talk in English. Talk in
Test her.
Spanish.
Test her.
We might not get very far yet, but I'm trying.
Well, that's a lofty goal, and to be honest, that is like something that I've always wanted to do.
Yeah.
You know, in my former life, I was a chef, and I like to think that I know kitchen French, because the base of all Western cuisine is usually rooted in French traditions. So a lot of the, how they say things and the terminology for stuff. Oh, there's Siri on the
I
watch
feel the same
trying
way,
to,
Siri.
trying to tell me what I should be saying. So, there's a lot of things that are in French in the kitchen, and that seems to be the language in the kitchen. Now, I'm many, many years removed from that life. And, the French stuff is receding, but, the French language is a beautiful language, and I've always wanted to learn more of it. So, kudos to you, Jess.
Thank you.
Now, Colin, do you have a commitment besides the one I talked about with our dinners and lunches?
Yeah, to consistency and discipline in working out every day or almost every day, doing something of physical activity, eating better, and also in work. I'm committed to making our real estate team the best real estate team that can happen. So,
We're
It's a
already
great
there.
commitment.
We can only get better from here.
Yep.
That's
But
right.
we're already up there.
we're already up there, and it's
Oh,
just a
gosh.
little bit up.
Cherie, I love you.
Yeah. Excellent. So one of the things that we've committed to also on setting short goals, because look up SMART goals. Look, Google that.
Yep.
SMART goals. But one of the things that we've committed to is dry January.
Yes.
I put out a post the other day on Facebook page, and actually surprisingly, how many people commit to dry January?
So when we're talking about who's committed, it's me and you as a household.
Yep.
I'm not sure about.
I am not committed to this. I have children.
I have children. I must drink.
And I think the older I get, the 1 or 2 glasses of wine, I feel it the next day. I don't want to get out of bed. I don't want to work out as hard. And I also want to eat some poor food. And I think that this is a good way to start the year. Now, we're starting with dry January, but it might continue on to dry February or just special occasions.
Yeah. And I agree with you. I just had my birthday the other day on the 2nd of January. Please send presents.
Happy birthday, Colin.
Well,
birthday.
thank you
Birthday.
very much. Thank you very much. And, what used to be, no problem having 2-3 beers is now, you feel it the next day.
Oh, yeah.
I always used to say, hey, I can hold my liquor. I'm Canadian, And now, if I have 2 beer, it affects me. Talk about the brain fog and the not getting going, and that part of my commitment is to be more committed and disciplined in my work life. And you have to make those small sacrifices because I love beer. My waistline will show you that I do. It will affect other parts. So in order for me to stay on my commitments, I have to change things otherwise.
Because the old ways aren't working.
Yeah, old ways are not working.
But
Especially
they always
when
say
you
you
get
can't-
old like me.
They say you can't do the same things and expect a different outcome.
That's
Yes.
the definition of insanity.
Yes.
Yep.
So even though you guys aren't doing dry January, would you cut back a couple drinks? Jess, you're not a big drinker.
I'm not a big drinker.
Not
so,
at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the younger generation is, we were just discussing this the other day. So when Colin and I get home, how we unwind is we have a glass of wine or a beer and we talk about our day and we cook, and that to us is like, oh, we're relaxing. Whereas the younger generation, Jess is like, well, I have a tea. I wouldn't come home and like have a glass of wine or even just have a drink by yourself.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't have a drink by myself.
You think that's odd just
'Cause
to be
I'd-
drinking by yourself.
Yes. I don't see a point in just having casual drinks.
So see, whereas, and I think we used to think about like, hey, you just have a glass of wine. I'm like, Colin's out of town. What's for dinner? Wine and nachos. Hello, like best dinner ever.
Best dinner.
Where it's interesting where it's headed.
Well, I actually had stopped drinking for almost 2 years, and I only started drinking probably in the last like 6 or 8 months. So I don't drink a
But
lot.
your kids are older than
The kids are getting older, more trouble. I don't drink a lot. I drink like social gatherings and the occasional night I'll pour myself a glass of wine, but
Yeah.
that's about it.
Yeah, it's funny. I grew up in the 70s, and how our culture has changed because back then I can remember going over with my parents to their friend's place, and people drank and
Even the pregnant ladies.
drank a lot.
But even Colin's parents are not big drinkers. But
Not
they like
at all.
They like to have like in the afternoon a gin and tonic or a small glass of wine, and it's kind of like Chips cocktail hour. That's like
Aw.
woo,
But
getting crazy.
only when they come over to
Yeah,
our place.
That
they
is
don't do that
life
at home.
goals.
But that is like living the dream right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. It's called happy hour. Right?
Yeah, happy hour at our house.
love
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then it's also veganary or vegan.
Yeah, that was right.
Veganary.
Yep.
It always sounds weird. So they're trying. The new one is to eat vegan for a week or a month
For all of January.
for all of January.
No, that's a tough one. That's a tough one for a lot of people.
Well, you
Yes.
guys were vegan for a while, weren't you?
Quite a while.
Yeah. I wouldn't say quite a while.
6 months, 8
It-
months.
it's a challenge. It's really challenging.
Yeah.
And we weren't vegan; we were plant-based, and the difference is in
Still have
if you're
leather.
vegan, you don't have anything like no leather shoes, no nothing like that. We just ate plant-based, and I have to tell you that me, I love meat, but I felt 100% better eating plant-based.
And when we did it, it was a few years back, so there wasn't as many products. Like there wasn't as many vegan yogurts or different things like that. But again, as any, and I'm not calling it a fad diet, but with anything, when people became gluten-free, there becomes all these over-processed foods. And the whole point to me of plant-based is eating whole, real grains, fruits, vegetables, and not getting those, fake chicken nuggets or,
Yeah.
the fake burger.
Well, what I think a lot of people try to do when they switch to a plant-based diet is recreate their regular diet
Yes.
with plant-based stuff, and you can't. You
There's
can't
not
because-
a cheese substitute.
Yeah.
There is not a cheese substitute. I'm
have
just putting it
heard
out there.
this, yeah.
And that's probably my biggest failure.
You just give up
Cheese.
cheese. You
I
just
love
give it up.
cheese.
I can't. Like, you know what? I could do without like chicken. I could do without steak, but man, I can't do without cheese. Cheese is my kryptonite. That and Nanaimo bars.
Oh, I love Nanaimo bars.
are
But
my
we-
kryptonite as well.
We do try in our house to be conscientious of what we're buying. So, like, we hardly have, besides cheese, any dairy. in our house, and then meat is not every day.
Yeah. Yep.
So, and you guys, how would you ever try to go plant-based for a week, a month, a year?
I absolutely would. It actually intrigues me because I've heard a lot of people say after a couple of weeks, their life is different. Like
Yep.
their focus is different, their energy is different. Like, I love that. My kids are meat eaters, so occasionally when I make vegetarian meals, they will ask me where the meat is.
Oh, okay.
So they like their meat.
Yeah.
I think that's also
Yeah.
Western diet.
Yes.
Too,
Yes.
because
Yeah.
we think meat and 2 veg, right? And
Yeah.
a starch. That's the way I grew up. Every single meal.
We
was
could-
meat,
Yeah.
2 veg, usually boiled,
Yeah.
potatoes or rice.
Yeah.
Yeah. We try to skip the starch.
Yeah.
And that's not, even when I feed my kids, if they're like, oh, I'm full, it's like, eat your meat and your vegetables.
Yeah.
Don't eat your starch. Right?
And what about you, Jess? You're a big meat eater.
Yes.
You want the protein.
Yes, I am a big meat eater, but I'm a mostly just chicken eater.
Yeah, you don't do beef.
No, I don't do beef. I don't do gamey meats. I'll do pork. I like pork, but I don't do it often because I don't feel as good when I eat it. So I think talking back to shorter goals and like easier baby steps, I think maybe saying going vegetarian instead of vegan, because vegan is very difficult. I think it would be easier to, go vegetarian for a week and just take out the meats from your meals that you make and then go from there.
Plus the other thing, and I might be oversharing here, the first couple weeks you go plant-based, because you're eating so much beans and vegetables.
I'm afraid of what she's going
I
to say.
think we all know where this
Really
is going.
get the toots.
Get a little gassy.
Right? It's true. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Okay, so
TMI.
I'm just letting people out there know.
we have friends that are vegetarian. I believe they're vegetarian, not vegan. And one of my friends made them a Clamato drink, a Caesar with Clamato in it. Is that still vegan?
No.
Nope. Because
Yeah.
it's got clam juice in it.
Yeah.
After they started to drink it, we're like, wait a second.
Yeah, no. And there's always the hot debate on honey. If you're plant-based, can you have honey
yes.
or not? Even though you're not killing the bee for it, it's a byproduct of a bee. And then I even saw something even more interesting, and this is going down the rabbit hole. If you breastfeed, is that vegan?
Oh,
If somebody went that far, I would be like,
I think
that
that's
is-
too
I know,
far.
but this is
That's
where we are.
dumb.
So I'm just saying. But
People,
the honey
need to do what they feel is best.
The honey is one of those ones that's kind of on the cusp.
Yeah, I don't see it. So, I think
I
for me,
I had
I
friends
think-
that went
I think
vegan
it's fine.
and they went down that rabbit hole, and to the point that there's actually an ingredient in, I think, ketchup that uses animal bones, and so they had to stop using the ketchup, and like it's crazy how many animal products are in our food that we have no idea are even in there.
That is the one good thing to learn, and especially wine. Wine has so much animal product in it.
Oh man.
Oh, that's so interesting.
You'll see that there's vegan wines. It's something in the curing they use. I can't remember what it is. I'll have to look it up.
Wow.
It's like
Interesting.
fish and maybe like a bladder of some sort of animal or something.
Yeah,
That
that's
sounds gross.
That's for clarity.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what it is. Yeah, they add it to get clarity. They do that in beer.
Yeah.
Wow.
Keep talking about this, and I might join you for a dry January.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the product, but yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're listening to this podcast, please, please comment on the website or on social or on YouTube, wherever you may be listening. We'd love to learn about your commitments for 2023. Now, we slightly brought up how Jess doesn't eat beef.
Yes.
We have an upcoming video where we are each going to present our favorite burger of Prince George
Yes.
coming up. And we want your participation because we want to know which you think is the best burger. So
Or
keep
if you've tried any of the burgers we're going to be trying.
that too. So we're going to have that coming out soon. and look for it on our YouTube channel or on any of our social media platforms, and let us know what you think is the best burger in Prince George. One thing that I forgot to do at the beginning of this podcast is Colin's random fact.
Oh, you can't miss out on that. We all look forward to it.
I know.
Siri wants to teach you your random fact.
Yeah, my watch keeps on coming on. So, random fact is the shortest war in history was between Britain and Zanzibar on August 27th, 1896. Zanzibar surrendered, and how long did it take?
Half an hour.
Sheree?
10 minutes.
Oh, well,
Jess?
I'm going to say, I'll say 45 minutes.
38 minutes.
Oh!
So that's my little random fact, because I love random facts. So as we move into 2023, let's talk about our real estate predictions. What's going to happen in the real estate market in Prince George? Cherie, your thoughts?
You know, I think I think the next two announcements for rate increases are January and March. I think January is going to go 0.25% rate increase. March, I'm not sure yet. I feel like it will probably be another 0.25. I don't think that we're going to see any large increases like the 0.5s or the 1%. So I think that we're done seeing those. I am hoping that by the end of 2023 that we start seeing a little bit more in the decline than the increase. I know at the end of the year, you know, we had talked to Christine about the buyers that she's working with as a mortgage broker. And they're out there, and a lot of buyers are feeling like just the right property isn't coming up on the market. So I don't think our market, especially in Prince George, is going to see any major changes. It's just going to go back to what is a normal market.
And normal market.
Pre-COVID.
Yeah,
Pre-COVID
pre-COVID.
market. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So, 2018, 2019-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stuff like that.
Where you actually had to work to sell your house, and buyers would go and do second viewings of a home if they weren't 100% on the first one. I like that. I like people being informed and being able to take their time to make their decision. So I think it's a good thing that our market has slowed down. But I don't see a crash. Like they talk about the crash in the Canadian market. We're not going to see that crash, I don't think.
Yeah. And what constitutes a crash? Like what sort of loss is a 10% down? Is that a crash? Or 50% down? Is that a crash? I don't know. Like, how do you constitute? Yeah. I think the word crash is used lots, thrown around to try to make people scared. They're selling the fear in order to sell their media.
Well, and they have houses, so in Vancouver, Toronto, the major centers, they'll advertise that, this house now sold for, $1 million less than what it would have a year ago. Well, with inflation, maybe it wasn't even going to sell for $1 million, like where they were originally marketed at, right?
Totally.
So, it's hard to say.
Yeah, the marketing price is just a line in the sand. It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Bailey.
So, a couple of things. I think that we will still be strong with the rental properties, and especially out-of-town people wanting to buy those, or first-time home buyers. Because what's going to happen with this market, if you were saving to buy a home, say Victoria, Vancouver, Kelowna, maybe now with those interest rates climbing, you can't afford that anymore, but you can still afford a house in Prince George.
Yeah.
Because your money will buy you a lot more here. Or if you were somebody who wanted to buy an investment property in Kelowna, maybe you can buy 2 investment properties here, or maybe you can spend a lot less on something here. So I think those will always stay where they are. The one thing that I want to ask all of you is, what do you think will happen with foreclosures? So if I was already at my tops, had $1 million plus home, now I need to renew my mortgage, and it's gone up 4 or 5%. Are we going to see that?
I don't think we'll see it in 2023 yet. If it's going to happen, It'll be 2025, I think.
What
when
happens if you were renewing? You never know, right? Because the
that's-
rates have been so low, and sometimes, like a couple of our rental properties were only locked in for 24 months or 18 months.
well, most
certain rates.
most people signed in for a 5-year, especially if they had a good rate.
Yeah.
And 5 years ago, I don't know exactly what the rate was, but I would say it was probably hovering around the 5%.
Oh, I think
Well,
you were
5
probably more
years-
3-ish.
Yeah, I think 5 years ago was a lot less.
Actually, yeah, 3.6.
Yeah, something
Yeah.
maybe around there, or even less if you went variable or something like that. What I think in my mind is going to happen is I agree that properties with secondary suites are going to become, or still become, very popular. Last 2 years, we have relocated more people than the previous 17 up to Prince George from larger markets. We're seeing a real increase of people leaving the lower mainland or Okanagan looking for a different lifestyle.
An affordable lifestyle.
Yeah, an affordable lifestyle, and I think we're still going to see that. I think I would be lying if I didn't say I think there's going to be some changes, not drastic changes, but some changes in the average price. It just, with people's buying power eroding because of interest, I just can't see it not happening because people still have the same tastes and whatnot. But that, that really also will depend heavily on how many listings are on the market. Because the last 2 years we've had really low inventory and really high demand by buyers, and that's what drove up the prices. Now, are the buyers going to be taken out of the market, or are they going to drop somebody looking for that wanted a 500 can only afford 400 now? Is that going to affect that overall market price and bring the prices down? We'll just have to wait and see. Our market here starts ramping up Marchish or so, depending on the weather, right?
What I found interesting is in the market report, December of 2021, the average house price was $527,000, I believe, and change. And the average house price December of 2022 was $541,000 and change. That was really surprising to me.
Yeah.
That it went up.
That it went
because
up.
We would all think it was going
I
down.
was
Yeah.
I was expecting, but that can also be skewed because there was only 30 some odd single family homes sold in December. So when you take a smaller sample, it's going to be skewed if there's a few more higher end homes that
Yeah.
sold in December, right? Once you get a little bit more homes sold, 100 or more, you take a look at that, and your average is going to be less fluctuating,
Absolutely.
right? It'll be a little bit more like the median or whatever. So, but yeah, it's really interesting. We had a very good December, and we sold lots of our clients' homes, and it was good. And hopefully that just continues rolling into the new year. So
And they always say that this is when millionaires are made, is in the down market.
you got it.
If you have the cash and you're able to buy properties, do investments, make those moves, doesn't matter the interest rate
Yep.
because everybody else is running scared.
Yep, our smart money buyers right now are purchasing homes right now and I think we're going to see it all year, that you can probably get a pretty good deal on something and put some renters in it, and away we go. So yeah, all right. Well, anybody have anything else?
Well, we didn't introduce our dogs. So we have Chloe, we have Pepper, and there was a giant one that jumped off the couch, and that was Milo.
Yeah, so if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see the dogs all running around here. If you're listening to it, well, you have to go to YouTube and check it out.
You
So-
might hear them chewing on their bones.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
They
So-
are essential to One Oak.
yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time and listening to this podcast. If you're looking to buy or sell real estate here in Prince George, we would love to help you out. Give us a shout. We're the One Oak Real Estate Group. You can find us on pretty much every platform, including TikTok, but I'm not dancing.
We're still working on that.
Yeah. Thanks, Jess.
Good luck with that, Jess.
Yeah. All right.
I'll pay you to get him to dance.
Thank you very much. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks again for listening and joining us here on another episode of the Prince George Life Podcast. If you're thinking about buying or selling real estate here in Prince George, we'd love to put our skills to work for you. You can find us at oneoakgroup.ca. And until next time, take care. Have a great day.